Coming to an American Studies conference like this is fascinating for someone who's outside of academia in the way that I've been teaching for 28 years at University of California, Riverside. I'm a professor, but I'm in a creative writing department, which is completely separate, even physically, from the English department, which is very unusual for most American universities. That doesn't mean we don't have a really strong relationship with American Studies and the English departments. We do. In fact, interestingly enough, we often invite speakers who can speak to all three. So I feel as if coming to Salzburg has been wonderful for me because from a novelist perspective, we're actually taking story, character, image, dialogue, making it into a fiction or a novel or a story or a poem. And then American Studies people are looking at it through all these fascinating lenses. To talk about craft and talk about character and talk about story also, I think, helps the American Studies people think about when they look at a novel, they're looking at it through a different lens from the way a novelist looks at it. And so I think both things have been really valuable. In my morning presentation, I had such a great time talking about my family. And to be a great storyteller means you can hold everybody's attention at the table, right? Or everyone's attention in the driveway. If you're a really bad storyteller, that's when people wander away from the table and you're left there alone and you realize, wow, I must not have put the right details in there. I showed a picture of my huge extended family, which can be 400 people strong, in a single carport and driveway in Riverside, California. And I did that to sort of, to me, the importance of storytelling is you can hold the attention of your family. And the way I translate that into my own work is I want to write a book that keeps people awake all night. The two greatest compliments readers can give me is when people send me a letter or email me and say these two things. These are the greatest compliments you can give a novelist, by the way. I stayed up all night to finish your book and I had to call in sick to work. That's the best one. Or, God, you made me cry, and then I looked like crap at work the next day. So what I was talking about in my workshop after the larger talk was how do we translate story, for example, to students who are not creative writing majors. I have a big class with 300 undergraduates. Many of them are freshmen, and the large majority are not creative writing majors or even English majors. They're business majors, pre-med, pre-law, and also a lot of education and social work. So the first day, what I do is stand up and say, why are you in a creative writing class? Because it's an elective, but you all, every single person in this room has to be able to tell a story. And in the beginning, they look at me with a lot of dubious, what is she talking about? And then I asked the pre-law people to stand up. And I say, if you can't tell a great story, which is you're telling the story of why your client didn't commit the murder or why his client did commit the murder, you're talking to 12 people in a jury box. That's got to be the toughest audience, way tougher than the driveway or the dinner table. If you can't tell a good story, in other words, not a fictional story, but if you can't tell a good narrative, you will never be a great lawyer. And this light bulb goes off. The business people are the funniest because they're all sitting there with their arms crossed like what? And I'm like, oh, so how are you going to sell your newest iPhone app if you can't tell the story of why your app is the best thing ever? And they're like, darn, she got us too.